Yes, greetings and the best of salutations. There will be prayer, power, peace, patience, and power. The summons, invoking the cosmic intelligence of one's life force. The summons, invoking the cosmic intelligence of one's life force. If you force a people, or you even force a child at his or her infant stage to eat something that they don't like, they will push it away. They will push it away. Yes. And excuse me. And if you force it, they will naturally resist it because it's something that is being forced on them. And it doesn't set well to them, sets well with them. So they will force, they will resist it. And that's how it is with the the cosmic force of this universe. You cannot impose nothing on it. In fact, says that the planets, as it evolves around the sun, um, that it has a magnetic field that it would not let nothing contaminated or contaminating come close to it. I'm gonna try to piece something together of where I am and trying to go back to um, to the origin of my nature, that be the essence of my well-being. You know, to be one in harmony with myself and to be at peace with myself in the midst of all the disturbances that is going on in the society, and then it will reveal um, who or what created this disturbances, and they have the knowledge, but they misappropriately use the knowledge and misappropriately use the language and create laws, rules, and regulations, to control, and the resources to control the affairs of others. It's like erroneous paths and misguided ways. Um, because if someone knows something, you can tell that they are creating laws that which they have gathered from a cosmic intelligence from the universe. And if they have the correct interpretation of it, it will, that they are the stars, the moon, the sun. They are interdependent. Excuse me, interdependent on one. They're in harmony, and that's governed by the law of understanding. So if one creates laws that benefits a certain segment of the society, then you change it, and it becomes you change it along the way. That's called expediency, which means you make up rules along the way. And if you give definition to something, that's your definition. But are you able to hold up to it so people come and see the erroneous ways and the misleading, erroneous path, and misleading people in the way of not able to hold up to say what you believe is to be so on paper. On paper, there is a decree for Africa. Now, this is something that was written by the World Movement and Community for Conscious Cosmic Citizenship, the African House. This information was a document was shared with me by a sister named Lorraine. For whatever purposes, this is how I will be using it at this moment in time. Degree for Africa. In behalf of all African peoples everywhere, a powerful, sincerely subscribe. I powerfully, sincerely subscribe to this world, to this wonderful and memorable moment of consciously turning to and calling unto the ever present cosmic supreme being and its administering intelligence, that which administer intelligence. We have to be clear with that which, distinguish from intelligence and education and administering something. Some can administer the the wrong dosage or too much because it's diagnosis or prognosis, one of the two, is incorrect. Not knowing what he or she needs, doing administering work, you know, work on the intelligence, you know, throughout the seen and unseen worlds, universes, and dimensions, to know vividly, inspire, and implement illumination. Illumination. So it in the information age, it is you have a lot of information, but not too much transformation. Some say, Brother Imam would say, it's the day of conclusion. I would say it's a call to come back to our humanity. So, and some would say a day of reckoning where our accomplishments and failures will be revealed. Um, implement the implementation, to inspire and implement illumination, enlightenment. It ain't just, we'll say, in the light, walking in the light of social progress to be illuminated. The illumination of love, security. When we greet each other in peace, we are no threat to one another. In progress, Garvey says that which he's attracted to is progress, and the greatest force, he said, is success. And Brother Imam said that but when people are aware of their potential, that these two success. You know, I'm paraphrasing. Yes, progress. It can be delayed, but it can't be denied. Anything that ever existed can be measured. That's a scientific dictum, as brother Bobby Wright would say. I'm paraphrasing. And then, how do you calculate the unknown, but must first calculate the known? That's mathematics. Some of the teachings, understanding of the Nation of Islam. Progress, I say, can be delayed, but it can't be denied. As Stevie Wonder would say, Master Blaster, Jammer, that destiny is the brightest star. The progress in the condition. I always say you can best understand best diagnose anything or any person based upon the condition of the circumstances which they come out of, because circumstances makes us other than ourselves, and there are those who manipulate the ignorance of our circumstances or the circumstances of our ignorance to make us to become enemies of ourselves. I'm talking about a mentality, and it's really a ideology. Who knows this? Who knows this? Yes, but they are under an influence, become intoxicated by it. So goes on with this degree for Africa, the formula and plans of residency. I realize that the past is just a reference point, it's not a place of residency on earth. And the earth has an appetite. So if there is an open enemy, it is us being able to control our appetite. Yes. And yes, on the earth, and where earth is an exorbitant, it also represents a sense of grounding as well. The earth applicable to peoples of African heritage, origin, background, and concern. We decree, affirm, and issue the misadventures and compromises of African people. There's group solidarity. You don't jeopardize. This is really cosmic centric thought. Cosmic centric thought. We'll get into that. We are a part of you. When this degree affirms the issue, and the issue is character resolving. Character is the material that has been given to us to build on our humanity. Yes. Uh, be today pardoned and cleansed with overflowing cosmic light and love. You know, Parliament Funkadelic did something called cosmic slop. They were, some people are close to something. Forgive me. You know what I'm saying? So, but needless to say, let's keep going. We are part. We are a part of you. Yes, part of this cosmic intelligence, life force, which has left something behind. Its energy and its elements. So, O cosmic supreme intelligence, upon the infinite and internal love that us in you, immortalizes us in you. Neutrons, protons, electrons, makes us up and makes us forever your children. Children are the extension of their parents' social relationships. We call unto you to urgently and intensively summon all African peoples, as well as your wisely raised intelligence, goddesses, gods, angels, elementals, to the labor of immediate material and spiritual upliftment, freedom, and happiness of all sons and daughters of the race. Now we know there is race, it's competition, but we we compete in the best of ways, but when it's applied to black and white, there is no such thing as race. This is only conceptual. It's not factual. Neil Painter, yeah, makes that clear too, Sister Neil Painter. And happiness is the joy that you feel when you are in pursuit of your potential. Yes. In your name, O ever present Creator God, and all, overall, upon your power, love, wisdom, and will, we inseparably um, and firmly stand and appeal and issue that all African peoples, living or dead, be wisely guided to forthwith decease, desist, and absolutely refrain, resist, and refrain from evermore giving complicity to their own oppression. Imam Jamal, formerly H. Brown, my brother, he said that that which is oppressing us is ignorance, and undoing by continuing to serve the invisible forces and causes, whether of the heavens or of the earth, under which the race has suffered much distraction. Imam said that the person that God created, he said, Satan, no, he cannot beat him on the battlefield, so he creates circumstances and distractions. Yes, yes. So, paraphrasing, yes. hmm And we see in the society today that there's always distractions, there's always interruptions, and we know, and I know, we continue. We have these phones. We can call each other when we're on the run. And one time, we had these little pagers. When I came up, there were those who had money had cellular phones and they had some technology in their car, but more and more people with cell phones, more and more distractions, left to their own devices, and these devices are being misused and abused. And you say we have free will to do that. We can do what we want to do. Okay. There is something to there is something behind that as well. To be left to your own devices, very destructive, very destructive. Thwarting and repression for untold hundreds and thousands of years. Our deepest desire and innermost covenant is for the freedom of light. Covet the freedom of light. The night could also represent knowledge. To co-preserve with regards and respect to the cosmic intelligent life force. To coexist, to cooperate, to live in harmony with this universe, and we live in harmony with one another as human beings, not one being subjected to another. Our deepest desire, as Booker T. Washington said, in his address to Atlanta, um, he appealed to the economic, of course, consensus of a group of people, but created hardy, cooperative people. You know what I'm saying? But it is in the human nature to cooperate. But there is something that is very distinctively different, and I'm not trying to get into any separation, but it's something about having people who have been uh, put in a position to be dehumanized, but yet to hold on to their humanity. That's something, man. That's something. So you are serving all thy creation, you and serving all thy creation with love. And love is the manner in way we communicate as a family, our humanity, our order, our duty, and our responsibilities. We use our talents, our gifts, and resources to communicate as a family, our humanity. And all we will and do, let us be blessings and not betrayals of the integrity and decency and honor of the race. Let there be perfect and inviolable protection for the friends of the African people and for all who are now working and will with work in the future for the ennoblement of the African people. For we were created with nobility and dignity, not the sin thing. The word sin is Hebrew sin shatah is to miss the mark, and the mark is accountability. We don't want to be accountable. That's recidivism, moral culture decline. We must come back. The call is to come back to our humanity, nobility, and dignity. There are those who came to restore the dignity of people, that someone tried to take people's dignity from them as human beings. Something has influenced the mind of a person to think that. You think that the cosmic intelligence, life force that is not raising up in the minds of people? You've got to be kidding me. It just must be channeled properly. And adequate cooperation leads to proper communication, and that's how you effectively coordinate your power. So, when I say I come in the spirit of cooperation, we must learn to cooperate, and I say leadership is coordination, so there must be a coordinating effort, a coordinating energy. And in that energy, it must be synergized. And when that energy is synergized, then the continuity of our confidence in cooperating with one another as human beings be a constant flow. Don't you know? Yes. We decree, affirm, issue upon the wings of your wondrous reality of light, power, and love. O beloved Mother, Father of all, we invoke the all disruptive, chaotic forces, bosses, incarnate, disincarnate from the heavens or upon the earth. Elevated state of thinking, visible or invisible, organized or unorganized, be forthwith arrested, corrected, or be swiftly driven away from around about every African man, woman, and child. The light will prevail over the scheme of the beast to distort, talk of the beastly nature that is our lower state, our animal appetite. I'm not displaying at this, talking about animals, top this, our beastly nature, our lower state, the scheme, these distractions to distort organical world progression. Hmm? The natural ability of our natural development. There is metaphors in Cain and Abel, but not getting it into the persons or individuals. For me, it just ideas of what is happening among us. Uh, our natural ability, our natural development, when it comes to our ability to live as humans, brotherhood, sisterhood, familyhood, who will come to want to bring about and destroy that? There's something going on in the mind, in the mentality of a person or a people who thinks that way, and think that they can continue getting away with it because the force is coming back even stronger. for you plan, and then that which we God call God is the best of planners. Yes, this organical. Now we know we're dealing with organic food nowadays. I'm not saying it wasn't happening some time ago, but this is natural development, because anything that remains in its natural form and natural state is spiritual. Organic progression. Uh, I said there's two struggles: progression versus regression, and common sense versus nonsense, if Imam would say. But we need to learn to reason from the premise of conversation and reason with progression. Reason, the faculty that has been given to us to be able to reason. So don't be unreasonable with me. When you're unreasonable with me, that your business dealings and our interactions with one another is unfair. You create terms like minimum wage. Who creates stuff like that? You control, then people come and control the medium of exchange through currency. Then you create a hate psychosis in the environment. Then we start dealing with social comparisons. Man, something is wrong with the mentality of people. I ain't anyone who thinks like that. You know, communalism, whatever ism it may be, but we know that the land should not be bought and sold. It should benefit the people, the masses of the people, not just a few people. Those who you kept in ignorance, you think that they maybe don't know the laws in which you created, but in their spirit and their heart, they ain't all that ignorant. They just resisting, but that they, as Kwame Ture says, the duty of the conscious is to make the unconscious aware of their unconscious behavior when it comes to resistance. The laborers resist the capitalists. If the communists, the socialists, with no difference, the people resist that which is in their nature. They resist that which they know is not correct and not, it's not right. But it must be organized. Design the organic world oppression. I mean, organic world progression. Organic world progression. The designs of the serpent against the houses of African people. The houses, the homes, a family. This whole universe is a bread basket. It's abundance for us to benefit from and use that substance in a constructive way rather than a destructive way. All African peoples are completely doomed to disintegration and failure. We desire to affirm the issue that all hypnotic trances that overcast, dope, and dim the light of African people. That could be distractions, that could be uses of drugs, that could be anything that has a overcast. I think Dr. King said something about his daughter who wanted to go to this amusement park. Of course, I'm not amused by it, but he said that she was crying, and he didn't. First time he didn't know what to say. He said the first time of the mental cloud of inferiority came over his daughter, because what many people in Africans, this new African people in America, what we have been charged with, falsely accused of, is that we are inferior. Come on, man. Who accuse people all the time but Satan? Then they deny people to get into the athletic field, and now they see that you can be a quarterback or whatever. Come on, man. You can see you can be a GM or whatever. Come on, man. Who thinks like that, man? Falsely accused, and then they justify and they say you how you behave, and put drugs and everything in your alcohol, and see how you behave, and say, see, we told you that. Then keep the people in ignorance, and then they act in a very indignant and decent manner, and they say, see, they justify. They say, yeah, see, I told you. people must become aware of their potential. And the true purpose here is to fulfill your potential. And and when you fulfill your potential, you know that you don't reflect callousness, no carelessness, and you are not driven by the spirit of apathy. But that's some reverse psychology there too. Because when people rise up, they're only responding or rising up to the extent of the injury that has been damaged to their humanity, and they're going against apathetic government officials and leadership. Yeah, it's beyond race, class, gender, religion, economics, politics, and science. So now we got something called homeland security. You think about that. Immediately dissolve the ignorance with hampers our harmony. I have mentioned harmony before. And progress too of the race be cast off today and forthwith certainly by your cosmic supreme intelligence. The great soul of African peoples will renewing of your mind, transformative power. There are those who came to transform us with transformative power. The Adamadan Society, Nation of Islam. There are many others that came about. You know, I could use individuals, but it's about the institutions, institution building, and there are those who are still about that today. Intellectual, independent intelligentsia. We have uh, entrepreneurs. There are there are wellness centers, institutions. You know, there are independent schools. You know what I'm saying? Institutions today that go about immediately dissolving and dissolving the ignorance, anything that hampers, the harmony and progress of a people, of of a race, as it says here, but I say of a humanity. Even though Marcus Garvey says that they ain't impressing us because of our race, is because of our humanity, because of our race. But that's their thinking. But so hey, just compete in the best of ways. And when I think of the best, I think of God is best, the protector of women and children. So we casting off immediately that which hampers and hampers the harmony of our progress. And doing so, we renew the knowledge of our true identity. It's a universal identity, global citizens. I ain't say national identity, a universal identity. Purposes, destiny, and possibilities. It will be rendered exalted and creative for the good of the whole world and its heavens. Thy glory, O Creator. Afrocentric versus non Afrocentric models of African family in America. The Afrocentric approach. Issue. The non Afrocentric approach. Issue. Issue is character resolve. Worldview foundation. Anthropocentric cause. Afrocentric. Just throwing these out there. Afrocentric approach. Well, it's how people interpret reality. You know, it comes from what we see in the cosmos. Yes, African worldview, European worldview. Excuse me. Basic nature, African worldview. Going back a little bit. That's okay. Extended structure, community, clan, race. Kwame Ture says we come from clan, tribe, clan, family, then he unto a continental people. I can't recall how he said that, but it's the evolutionary process. It is the organic development, the organic, as I said earlier, this um, organical world progression or progress, because the beastly nature or of the beast have uh, distorted, distorted, emotionally distorted, mentally, deranged, distorted this natural evolutionary process of development, and still doing so. Don't think that these people who entertainers don't think that they're being used, but they don't care. They don't care. That's on them. More power to them. More power to them. That's fine. So yes, hey, that's their medium of exchange. I mean, that's how they make their living. More power to them. So yes, um, basic structure, then the is extended structure, community, clan, race, then European worldview. You know, the man in the window, as some people say, nuclear structure, hey, nuclear warfare, nuclear warfare. The intention and the attitude that we have when we use these resources. So, basic nature of the Afrocentric approach, their worldview, extended kinship relations, horizontal, vertical relations, children, elders, ancestors, prior kinship relations. European worldview, immediate blood relatives, horizontal over vertical relations, contemporary members, adults, and children. Something must be over something, rather be in harmony with something. You think about that. Basic themes, African worldview, European worldview. The African worldview, collectivism, spiritualism, community, complementary. We were born into this world existence to complement it. Interdependence. The stars and the moon and suns are interdependent of each other. Cooperation, adequate cooperation leads to proper communication, and that's how you effectively coordinate your power. Group commitment, reciprocity, shared responsibility, accountability to the group, community, race. European worldview, individualism, individual is the sum total of a whole, materialism, separateness, independence, power, dominance, romantic love, pleasure without responsibility, sex is like a sadist. A sadist take pleasure in inflicting pain on you. Accountable to self, immediate family. African worldview, basic functions, procreation, group survival, collective identity, self definition, child rearing, socialization. Even though I don't like the word survival, because humans live, don't survive. I think it's a Darwinism theory, very animalistic, but that's fine. Basic functions of European worldview, protection, nothing wrong with that. Security, defense, um, individual identity, self definition, socialization, individual survival. So it's like when the brothers who came over here was the Africans that were forced to come over here. They went through a resocialization process. So hey, so we've been through a resocialization process, we must go through a resocialization of new ideas and new norms. And I say that we're to a point now when it's come to call back to our humanity. We have the information now. We must be able to clearly not only interpret the information, but be able to go about in interpreting in the application of the implication of the information, and a in practicing what I call syncretism, which means we merging everything, we're merging it together, forging it together. And I ain't talking about like you forging, making up a lie, but America is a melting pot. Hmm? But in the melting, you're getting the draws off from the goal, the Amir, to be the best of a host, not to suck the blood out of the society or from the people. But it says, give us out your tithes, your poor, your those who will be down. We will we will make something out of them. We will create laws, but the laws that have been created was to benefit a segment population of the society. Then therefore that becomes popular. There is so much potential here. The awareness of that potential is to reach one's full potential, and that is to move from sympathy to empathy and not become apathetic. Objectives: African worldview, European worldview. Strong community, clan, race, community, organization, group, race, genetic survival, oneness, harmony with nature. And we know of Francis Cress Welsing says, um, deals with this genetic survival, white supremacy, racism. As Nina Fuller could say, they control all areas in life. It's for genetic survival. Genetic. Strong family, European worldview. Strong families, strong family, individuals, individual role, um, rather than community role. Role structure. I mean, individual role. Role is your character that you play, or your role that you play as an individual in the structure. Um, Individual genetic survival as opposed to group race survival. The individual is nothing but the sum total of the whole. Dominance over nature, whereas the African worldview, oneness, harmony with nature. Well, I'm going to say this in possibly closing. There is a book written by Shawana Garvey, Lumumba, Malcolm, black nationalist separatists. Malcolm. She wrote, the problem facing Malcolm X was the same problem Marcus Garvey had confronted in the 1920s and 30s. Garvey's nationalist separatist program gave no national task to the blacks either in the United States or elsewhere in the Western Hemisphere, except that of supporting the UNIA's program of building a black basin on the African continent. Garvey's total preoccupation with that part um, preoccupation of that part of his grandiose plan allowed him to sidestep one of the vital questions: what should the masses of the people who supported him do for themselves in their respective nations while the black basin was basin was being built? Excuse me for 1 minute. I want to make sure something is clear. Okay, this part of this fortification. Yep. Garvey's failure to face this problem was the source of a great weakness. A weakness was which facilitated the dismantling of the UNIA everywhere. The UNIA was implemented in many countries, but in none of them did it apportion to its followers the national tasks consistent with their day to day national political, economic, cultural, and social preoccupations in reality. After leaving the Nation of Islam, Malcolm X's silence concerning the building of a separatist, independent black nation in North America was not a sign that he had abdicated this national separatist goal. His thinking on the question seems to have been more complex. The fact that he made no explicit statement in the direction and added to the more significant fact after him no one has dealt with this aspect on the issue shows the real complexity of the question. In more brutal terms, the dilemma facing Malcolm X after his break with the Nation of Islam, in which Garvey sidestepped, can be resumed as follows: why should African Americans struggle, or what should African Americans struggle for? Integration into Aryan America, either by becoming inferior capitalists without capital or political power, or by advocating a communist revolution. As some the imam said that we are affluently poor. Revolution, which, if ever successful, would make them its first victims? Or should blacks of the United States struggle for the realization of independent, separate black nation in North America? I'm going to repeat that. In more brutal terms, the dilemma facing Malcolm X after his break with the Nation of Islam and, and with Garvey UNIA sidestep can be resumed as follows. What should what should American blacks struggle for? Integration into Aryan American, either by becoming inferior capitalists without capital or political power? We have that now? Do we? And has it been effective? You think about that. Or by advocating a communist revolution, which, if ever successful, would make them its first victims? So we want to move from victims to victory. Huh? Or should the blacks of the United States struggle for realization of an independent, or realization, she said, independent black nation of America? We know that people, Du Bois, and some talking about independent intelligentsia. Okay, Malcolm X opted fully for the latter solutions while at the same time advocating the relentless struggle for the obtention by blacks of the human rights due to them as citizens of the United States. Malcolm X's position then was one which advocated a struggle for the fulfillment of black man's human rights in the United States with national independence in mind as the ultimate outcome. In other words, let's struggle to build an independent nation right where we are by initiating a struggle toward the fulfillment of our immediate and most basic needs and the progressive establishment of our own separate institutions in every field. We are a government of self. Individuals are, yes. Malcolm X objective, his goal, the very essence of the OAAU unmistakably national separatist program was to achieve national racial autonomy. The autonomy in the collective when we come together and give each other constructive value as a first step in a long, complicated process of struggle which will eventually culminate into independent black nationhood. The dynamic approach developed by Malcolm X to the difficult and very complex struggle of blacks in the United States filled a great vacuum. The fact is that post slavery national separatists in the USA had never concentrated on political action. Booker T. Washington National Separatist Program emphasis on political and social activity. It subordinated everything to the goal of economic self-sufficiency and technological advancement. Garvey UNIA in America was involved in no political action of significance. The same holds true for Elijah Muhammad's Nation of Islam, and this was one of the reasons why Malcolm X was dissatisfied with its program. Malcolm X was the first national separatist in the United States to realize that the absence of a political dimension to post-slavery national separatists through thought in America had created a vacuum which has been filled by the reactionary integrationist bootlicking stratum of American blacks. Malcolm X had pinpointed one of the very great sources of weakness in America post-slavery national separatist movements, the exclusive preoccupation with the angle of economic self-sufficiency to the detriment of any national political activity. This attitude, he accurately realized, had left the way clear for the development of integrationist, assimilist organization. He summed up this idea as follows: I say this, that if the law of the land states that you and I have the right to do thus and so, and doesn't take a picket to establish that right, and we got to do it, we got to is go to do it. And you actually do the whole thing a disservice by not getting involved, because what you do is create a vacuum. He called it also a religious hybrid, but a vacuum into which steps Uncle Tom. And Tom, I know I'm adding something in there, but for something different, but that's cool. Takes all the black belts and leads them to a non-violent way. No, I say, let's all get in it, and get in it without compromise. If black people in Alabama are trying to register and vote, if they're trying to register, then those black people in Alabama are within their rights. Anyone who is in any way interferes with them and breaking the law, well, our people in Alabama, our people in Harlem, our people in California are the same people. That's a universal identity from a cosmic intelligent life force. I'm telling you, you and I will not get anywhere by standing on the sideline saying that they're doing it wrong. I spent 12 years doing this with the Black Muslim movement, condemning everybody walking, and no time were we permitted to get involved to show a better way. Okay, I say let's get involved, but let's get involved all the way. There's a song by the Whisper going all the way. Let's don't get involved in a compromise way. Malcolm X saw that a program of economic self-sufficiency, the very basis of independent black nationhood had to be coupled with a political program addressing itself to the political, social, uh, mm, yes, dealing with this political, social things that will, deprive us, impose on the black man and woman. He saw the need to end this situation whereby none but integrationist organizations agitated for those political and social rights denied of blacks. He realized that as long as such situation continued, black people would be misled over and over again in direction of integrationist assimilatists, not to mention conformists. He saw that no program designed exclusively along the lines of economic self-determination could sustain over a long period of time the interest, support, and attention of the black masses who suffer not only from economic exploitation and privatization, but only but from every sort of social indignity and political deprivation. Malcolm X saw that black people needed urgent social political solutions to immediate very serious problems: filthy, interrogated, rat infested housing, inferior standard schools with Aryan orientated curricula, police brutality, harassment, absence of jobs, low salaries, absence of health facilities, etc., etc., etc. Then we see that there are health facilities in every black community. Someone else fill the void. Something that, ah, let that be. Malcolm X um, persistence um, on linking the ultimate goal of independent nationhood with agitation of a social and political character did indeed fill a great and dangerous vacuum in the development of post-slavery American national separatism. How can one turn his back on a social political agitation for those rights which the mass of black people pay heavy taxes for, but they're never enjoyed? How can one preach total absence to the laws of a nation, including the law drafts of a man, and send him abroad to die for his country, and then relinquish the fight to acquire those rights and prerogatives naturally associated with the compliance to these laws? Let us set out on the road to ultimate independent black nationhood right here where we are. Sounds like Booker T. Washington. Drop your buckets right where you are. By initiating a generalized struggle toward the fulfillment of our immediate and most basic needs, the establishment of our own separate institutions in every field, and the acquisition by any means necessary. Institutions, 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 institution building of the social and political rights and prerogatives overdue us. This was the essence of Malcolm X's long range and short range program, his ultimate goal in immediate preoccupation. In closing, I would say this, that I come to realize, man, that there is more work that needs to be done when it comes to moving from victim to victim in institution building. We must make a pledge and a commitment and merge the teachings of those who have went before us, that we bring closure when it comes to the integrity, the dignity, the honor, and the respect for the development of our intellect for the betterment of humanity. When it comes to human rights, the right for self determination, when it comes to freedom of fear, freedom from want, freedom of assembly, and freedom of press. And among them, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Happiness is the joy that you feel when you're in pursuit of your potential. You must become aware of that potential and in the application of it. Success. Garvey says the greatest force is success. People surround themselves with evidence of that success. Booker T. Washington says success is not merely the position that you have attained in life, but the obstacles that you had to overcome. And the root word for Latin sense problem is an obstacle. When you take your goal, eyes off your goal, that becomes a problem. Become You have to deal with problem solving skills, pessimist and optimistic. Pessimist sees opportunity. There's opportunity, but he sees opportunity as as something as difficulty, and the optimist sees the difficulty as an opportunity. There's three values I hold to: opportunity, expression, and appreciation. Continue to move from victim to victory. Make this transition from sympathy to empathy. The pledge of common humanity mission: there is no family without individual. The value of family and individual merging together, the practicing of syncretism. There is no community without family unto an egalitarian society. Cosmic centric. Cosmic centric. Because we come from a cosmic intelligent life force. Yes. 3, there is no country without community. If I gave 2, there is no community without family. That's 2. 1, there is no family without individual. The value of family and individual concerns. 1, the pledge. 2, there is no community without family. The value of community concerns. 3, there is no country without community. The value of country concerns. 4, there is no environment without the spiritual wisdom or discipline that it brings. The value of environmental concerns. 5, there is no joy without the happiness that it brings. The value of joy and happiness concerns. And 6, there would be no me without you. The value of you and me concerns. These, this pledge, common humanity pledge, the value of human dignity, human rights, of concerns for a better humanity. Because people are only responding due to the extent of the injury that has been done to his or her humanity. To value the you and the me, to value the joy and the happiness, value the environment, value the country where you reside, value the community in which you live, value the family, value the individual, value the self. 5-point concept of a happy life: use things, not people. Love people, not things. The past is a place of reference, not a place of residence. Set peace of mind as your highest goal and organize your life around it. Make your character preach louder than your words. Common humanity mission, promoters of the value of self worth, communicators of precision, a clearer image to the world through five or five and a half channels of communication. One is understanding, second is tolerance, the other is temperance slash temperament, confidence, and respect. When we have the understanding, it restores social credibility because the ultimate aim is accountable. I mean, the aim is accountability. The ultimate aim is to come into complete civility. When you come into complete civility, for that you should be at peace. And then, when it comes to universal tolerance or tolerance, it's designed to readdress social diversity, moving from a persecuted minority to a privileged majority. And that really is really addressing one's aspiration because when inspiration comes down, one's aspiration goes up. And then we deal with temperance, that is the control and the attitude, yes, that is designed to revise social coherency. It is a revision of being coherent, hmm, and connecting with this cosmic intelligence, life force that teaches us that oneness is stronger than conflict and unity is stronger than diversity. And then we deal with confidence, and that is designed to replenish social continuity. We don't want to continue to be depleted without being replenished, and that which you are replenishing people with, you may be putting too much of the doses in people. They go out on you, and that which you may be replenishing with is something that is not healthy for them. And may we fill the vacuum in the void that we can do for ourselves. And then, as a community, as a people. And finally, respect, and that is designed to reclaim social solidarity. Those who do not say, and those who see will not understand with clarity what is right before them. So therefore, we are dealing with cause, cognitive dissonance. But if we take the correct interpretation of that which is before us, the cosmic, this cosmic centric, cosmic decree, as I started off with this cosmic intelligence. As common humanity continue to promote the value of self-worth, to communicate with precision and clearance to a world, but also the mandate is to cultivate the potential of knowledge that is in us all. This cosmic intelligence, this organism is this energy of energies and elements coming together, this primary source stuff of the universe. Everything lives in a continuous generation expression. It never dies, it's just always being transformed. But its expression is vibrational. This frequency. But when you alter the vibration, the ecology of the environment, as Chinka Diop says, one's intellectual aptitude for learning becomes difficult, then therefore people take advantage of the victim. And then the victim takes advantage of the victim. And then we become victims of victims. And when you become victims of victim, it takes on a form of vanity. And vanity becomes the enemy of consciousness. Abbreviated life expectancy. People, uh, the 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 vibration has been altered. The frequency is low, but there are because people are looking for a touch. But look at what society. Look at this cosmic intelligence create. A tree, a mountain, or something that you can touch. This earth, something you can touch. It's a touch. Everybody needs a touch. I think Earth, Wind, and Fire said we can touch the world. May we tap into this cosmic intelligence as one saint said it came to awaken the spiritual awaken to one senses. When you tap into one potential, when you know that is associated with also the ascension to rise above. Huh? Astronism. You know how it is. Sometimes when you're in your subconscious mind, you just travel, man. You rise above. Yeah. I think in closing, man, George Benson did a song down here. He said, I think down here on the ground ain't no place to living. I watch the birds as they make their way. They flying high and free. I wish it was me. Freedom. Freedom. Free your dome. Free your mind. It is the will or the legacy that the cosmos, this cosmic intelligence as a legacy left to is given to this existence. It's leaving this touch, this hand, this behind, that we can touch it, that we can get in touch with it, and we can get in touch with ourselves, but with the right attitude about it. Because if you don't have the right attitude in your elevated state thinking, your mind, you become so arrogant about it that you will be kicked out. Get you out here from me. Huh? At a certain speed, you know how things go at a certain speed, and things start coming out. Boy, I have not seen, nor ear have not heard the thing that God has in store for those whom he loves and are called according according to his purpose. Universal intelligence, cosmic intelligence, universal decree for humanity and for the people. Till next time, be free. Be free.